Mark Francois, chairman of the European Research Group (ERG), has compared Ian Blackford with Private Fraser from Dad's Army after the SNP's Westminster leader called on Boris Johnson to push back Brexit in order to deal with the coronavirus pandemic. Mr. Blackford, MP for Ross, Skye and Lochaber, outlined his concerns in a letter to the Prime Minister in which he said it was not a time to pursue selfish and narrow political agendas, suggesting many would struggle to survive the second blow of a hard Brexit at the end of the year. However, Mr. Francois, Tory MP for Rayleigh and Wickford in Essex, dismissed his concerns. In a reference to the famously gloomy character portrayed by John Laurie in the classic World War II-themed sitcom, he said, "Ian Blackford, or as some of us now call him Private Fraser, because he is forever spreading doom. With the whole country focused on combating COVID-19, the last thing we need to do is reopen old wounds about Brexit." Mr. Francois saw no reason why the current timetable, and the December 31 date which will mark the end of the transition period, should not still apply. He added, "Modern technology like teleconferencing and Zoom makes it perfectly possible to negotiate over distance, so there is absolutely no reason for the transition talks to be delayed." In his letter, Mr. Blackford said, "It is simply impossible for businesses and others to prepare for life outside the EU while coping with the impact of the coronavirus at the same time. The reality is that many will struggle to survive the second blow of a hard Brexit at the end of this year. This is not the time to pursue selfish and narrow it's time for the Prime Minister to face down the Brexiteers and ideologues in his own cabinet and on his backbenches. The government continues to insist the current schedule is workable." A UK government spokeswoman said, "Our top priority as a government is to slow the spread of the coronavirus, protect the NHS and keep people safe. We are working around the clock to do so, with all four nations together providing unprecedented financial support for businesses, workers and the self-employed. We remain fully committed to the negotiations." Last week, the UK and EU shared draft legal texts and discussions with the Commission are continuing. The transition period ends on 31 December 2020, as enshrined in UK law, which the Prime Minister has made clear he has. Not all Tories agree however. Writing in today's Sunday Times, Nick Dubois, former Tory MP for Enfield North and Chief of Staff to Dominic Raab at the Department for Exiting the European Union in 2018, said, "Even without the pandemic this was set to be a fraught process, not this time in the UK, but across the 27 member states of the EU, as there will be myriad conflicting interests. With the inevitable financial fallout from the coronavirus shown by a north-south divide within the Eurozone countries on who should be picking up the bill for the extensive intervention measures undertaken by national governments, ratification of what would be a very important trade deal could well be weaponized by southern member states to secure more generous EU bailouts that are inevitably down the line." With Johnson enjoying extraordinary leads in opinion polls and rightly devoting every resource in government to the coronavirus battle, he would spend little political capital by jointly agreeing with the EU to postpone the deadline for talks and, here's the heresy, extend their transition period. He added, "It would be far better for the country to seize the initiative."